Hello everyone and welcome on this snowy Saturday live from Lillehammer. We are here for some action at the FIS Continental Cup here in the venue of the 1994 Winter Olympic Games. My name is Luis Holuch and I'm looking forward to be your commentator for this competition we will get to see here in Norway on this final day of January 2026 on the large hill, the 12th FIS Continental Cup competition in course of this 2025-2026 season is the start of a new period, probably also a new period for possible stars to shine in order to gain some quota spots for the next World Cup period. And speaking of quota spots, the three guys that have won their quota for their nation are not with us. So Clemens Eigner, Luca Roth and Sølve Jokerud Strand are not competing here in Norway, but still we have plenty of great athletes to watch, obviously, and also the home nation sending us a national group, which will be very interesting to watch. This is the second competition we are going to see here at the Lyschgårdsbakken Arena. The first one held in the morning for the women, which was won by Kira Maria Kapustikova from Slovakia, just 3.1 points ahead of Hanna Wiegele of Austria, and Intercontinental Cup leader Julina Kreibich of Germany. A very interesting competition early this morning, and also with quite a few jumps very close to the hill size of the normal hill. You can see on screen on the right hand side, and obviously the women will also be back tomorrow in action here in Lillehammer. Then we will switch the order of competitions around, so the men will start in the morning at 10:30 and the women will have their competition in the afternoon at 13:30. This all start times in Central European time. It's been a fairly frosty day this Saturday with light snowfall and temperatures at around -7 degrees Celsius, and you can also already see the main data of the ski jump, the large Lyschgårdsbakken with its K point of 123 meters and the hill size of 140 meters, allowing jumps definitely over that second line, as we saw, for example, already in 2009 by Simon Ammann with his hill record on 146 meters, which has been equalized by German Markus Eisenbichler in 2023. But the longest jump ever measured on this hill, at least professionally, were the 150.5 meters by Gregor Schlierenzauer, actually in the same competition as Simon Ammann scored his hill record. We are already going through the start list, which contains 59 competitors representing 12 different nations. So, a fair chunk of athletes competing here, also considering that not only there is the World Cup obviously currently underway in Villingen, but we also have the FIS Cup in Schirk this weekend with also a very high number of competitors. So it's been fairly spread even across all three main FIS competition levels as we slowly come to the end of the starting list, obviously containing lots of Austrian athletes despite their strongest in this current season, and also Continental Cup leader Clemens Eigner not with us today, but also Norway have a few strong athletes coming at the end of the start list. Just ahead of the competition we have had a single training round, and also the trial round just went fairly smoothly, so that promises us hopefully and also smooth competition. And also the jury will be keen on having short starting intervals in order to keep the in-run track clean, if you will. This will be the main challenge, as the wind has been fairly compatible and also predictable. We are starting from gate number 9, just as we did in the trial round, and the first athlete going down the Lyskgardsbakken will be Jakob Olfsåker Valseth from Norway. And he goes quite a long way down, especially compared to what we have seen from him in the training and the trial round. 118.5 meters, the first benchmark from the son of FIS judge Ole Valseth. And speaking of well-known dads, this also goes for Mans Strandbraten. His father Kjetil was the chief of the organizing committee of the World Championships in Oslo 2011. Mats being a club member of Jerpenkollen Hoppklubb, which is the ski club in Drammen, sitting a distance of 113.5 meters, which obviously gives him currently second position, a fair 20 points behind Valseth. Next up is Odd Harald Svenningsenfjell, only 18 years old, from Raufoss. And he might even be the first athlete to beat the first red line of 123 meters, which is the K point of this Lyskgardsbakken ski jump. Fairly close, 122 for Odd Harald. And because he had much better wind conditions, he is taking second position. Next up is Rikard Selbekk Hansen. His father Robert is our chief of competition today. And now that might be the first jump over the K points of Rikard, who spent a fair amount of time here in Lillehammer at the famous ski college, enjoying his education and also his basics of becoming a ski jumper. Taking the lead as we now see Bendik Jacobsen Hegli. Yeah, the Norwegians definitely trying to make their best impressions. 125 meters for Bendik, the longest jump of the competition, and also not that much of deduction from the wind competition, so he is taking the lead. And now we are moving over to the international field of competition. Andero Cup from Estonia. He had his difficulties earlier in the training with only 84.5 meters, and that jump was quite a fair, decent distance compared to that, 107.5 meters, but as of now he remains in 6th place. Nikita Devyatkin, the first jumper of 2 from Kazakhstan. He's competed here quite a couple of times before, 107 meters for Nikita, but never managed to score a top 30 result. So that's still on his bucket list. This jump puts him into 5th place at the moment. A new face in the Continental Cup, Maj Zakelšek from Slovenia. (113.5 meters) for the jumper from SD Visore. 5th place for him at the moment. And we're back with Kazakhstan, Sergei Tkachenko. (107.5 meters for the 26-year-old. Still up to date, the only jumper from Kazakhstan who managed to win a medal at the Junior World Championships, with bronze in Lahti 2019. The first Swiss athlete, Marius Sieber, 20 years of age. Already saw him last weekend in Eisenerz, now with 100.5 meters, actually the longest jump for him of this day, but currently 10th position. For Finland, Paavo Rompainen. Yeah, now we can conclude that he finally made the switch back to large hills after being a trial jumper last weekend at the FIS Ski Flying World Championships in Oberstdorf. 123 meters for Paavo. Only 104.5 meters less than his personal best on the ski flying, so that was really impressive to see last weekend. Maybe he will make his way to the competitors' field in ski flying this season. We'll never know. Elias Arnold for Switzerland underway. 17-year-old from Unterschächen. First time competing here in Lillehammer with 101 meters in his only third Continental Cup competition. Anouki Bouradier for France. Skipped the training rounds before, then started with 105 meters in the trial rounds, now lifts himself to 111.5 meters. Currently in 6th place, as still 4 of the top 5 spots are occupied by Norwegians. This is the first German, Janne Holz, having a good height over the knoll, but is not able to maintain the speed further down the slope. 116 meters for Janne, who is actually not related to Albin Holz, we saw earlier in the women's competition, just to clarify. But also for him, it's only the 3rd Continental Cup competition in his career, currently 4th place. Jan Galica for Poland. (21 years of age), jumping for the club ski jumping legend Kamil Stoch has founded together with his wife Eva Bilan-Stoch. But unfortunately for Jan, it's currently 15th position. Louis Obersteiner for France. A fairly decent jump for the man that was born in Vienna, actually, and also a long-time member of their ski club there. Wiener Stadtadler, or as they call it in English, Vienna City Eagles. Could also be an American football team, but they helped Louis on his first steps in ski jumping, and that brought him to a 4th place as of now in this competition. As we already see a double of Polish athletes, that was the jump of Tymoteusz Amilkiewicz. 94 meters only for him, unfortunately. His first competition ever in Lillehammer. So didn't became big friends with the Lyschgarsbakken. But the Polish fans out there can keep on cheering with Jakub Wolny. Yeah, pretty solid jump for the current level we see in this competition. For the man who has collected already 139 World Cup starts, 118.5 meters the distance for him. And he gets only minus 1.2 points, so that jump puts him currently in 4th. Benedikt Holub, the first of 2 competitors from Czechia. Didn't settle in too well before, and now he was also quite unlucky with the conditions there, so that's also an explanation why it's just 99 meters for him and 13th place at the moment. Timi Heiskanen for Finland. Last week scored 28th place in Eisenerz, which were his first World Cup points, Continental Cup points ever. And he gives it a fight in order to collect a couple of more. 112 meters in pretty changeable conditions at the moment. But that puts him into 9th place. Yeah, and apologies for that. We have a treble of Czech athletes, not a double, as I've told before, because the second of the 3 now is Filip Krženek. Pretty much on the same level as his teammate Holub before, with 100.5 meters. Next up, back to Norway with Oddvar Gunnerud. Scored at 27th place in Ruka, which were his first Continental Cup points in his career. Quite imbalanced, but considering that fact, it was a fairly decent jump from Oddvar, the 18-year-old. 117.5 meters. Puts him in 7th position at the moment, ahead of Svenningsen, Piel and Balset. Henri Repellin for France up next. .114.5 meters for Henri from Chamonix. Hoping for a premiere, because also he is one of those athletes that hasn't scored a single points in any category here in Lillehammer, so that would be a first for him today. The USA with quite a strong lineup here. First one of them, Eric Belshaw. Yeah, proving that the general level of the team is decently high. 121.5 meters for Eric. And that puts him into 2nd position. Sister Annika today scored a 16th place at the World Cup in Villingen. And here comes the next US American. This is Andrew Yolaub with his pretty unique jumping style, we can always point out. 114 meters. 12th position at the moment, but there's a fair chunk of Norwegians that can raise their hopes in order to advance to the second round, as we now see Kostisa Lach from Slovenia. .104 meters for Nick, who scored his first Continental Cup points in his career last weekend out in Eisenerz, but I'm afraid today there won't be any more for him. For Poland, Łukaszczyk. And as I've pointed out with your lot before, and also here we can point out that he has a really interesting style of jumping, as he reaches a distance of about 120 meters, I would guess, from the distance. 119 to be precise. And that puts him into 6th position, currently being the second best Pole right behind Jakub Wolny. And a Presečnik attacking the K-point line there, the Slovenian from Ljubno ob Savinji. 120 meters for Jernej. Currently 6th position, by far the best Slovenian, but we still have some of them up to come. Sindre Ulven Jørgensen had a very strong first training jump with 137 meters by slightly better wind conditions. But he's able to use the home advantage. The jumper from Asker. The 24-year-old scoring a distance of 124 meters and claims the leads over Bendik Jakobsen Heli. Here comes a part-time Norwegian, I would say, Decker Dean, obviously the American team having their collaboration with the Norwegians. Yeah, that is tough. You would hope that he would gain some confidence here at the COC after the Ski Flying World Championships didn't go too well for him, but only 102 meters for Decker, so COC points very, very unlikely today with rank number 25 at the moment. Yannick Wasser. Our Swiss team has made a couple of changes compared to last weekend. Remo Imhoff and Juri Kresseli are not jumping here. Instead, Wasser is showing us a jump of 117 meters. 6th place at the moment. Should have a fair chance in order to score COC points today. Kamil Waszek for Poland up next. The jumper from Goleszów, which is the hometown of the Tyner family. Fairly upright there, but still quite a good distance for Kamil, the 19-year-old. 118 meters, currently in 13th position. So not exactly on the same level as Wolny and Łukaszczyk ahead of him. Alessandro Batby from France. Also around the 120 meters, but you can see on the top right hand corner you would need around 10 meters more in order to take the lead. 120 meters exactly for Alessandro. 5th place, currently second best Frenchman behind Obersteiner. Martin Hamann for Germany made good use of his first chance to jump in the Continental Cup last weekend out in Eisenerz. And so he was allowed to continue the travel to Lillehammer here. And he has a good height over the knoll, and that might be the longest jump of the competition so far. Very good jump from Martin Hamann with 127.5 meters, but that is not enough to take the lead away from Sindre Ulven Jorgensen. But a second place and also the next COC points for Martin. Here comes Tuomas Kinnunen for Finland. I made quite the most out of it. Wasn't quite as high over the knoll as Hamann ahead of him. 121.5 meters. But either way, the Finnish athlete would advance into the second round, and that is Paavo Rompainen, currently on 6th place, as Kinnunen is ranked 11th. Here comes the third Czech, Daniel Škarka. Showed already in the training round that he's a fair bit ahead of his teammates, 114 meters. Couldn't quite attach to the two jumps he had before, so it's ranked 21 at the moment. Bryce Klotz for the United States up next. First time that he's competing here on this ski jump internationally, 105 meters. Actually the longest jump for him of the day, but being on rank 31, he already knows that it's not going to be the spots in the final round. David Riegel completes the quadruple of Czechs. .107 meters for a jumper from Liberec. 25th at the moment, so realistically there's only a very, very minor chance for one of the Czech competitors to advance to the second round. Jacques Mogel, who had the longest jump in the trial round earlier with 130 meters, and he's attacking that distance. It's an even matchup between him and Martin Hamann, 128.5 meters for Jacques. But his deduction for the win points is much smaller than the Germans, so Jacques Mogel is now the new leader here. Adrian Tittel for Germany. One of these tall jumpers, close to 190 centimeters in height. I can also make it quite tricky on these natural inrun slopes as we have here in Lillehammer. 113 meters for Adrian. That is lifting Łukasz into the second round. As up next we see Stefan Reiner for the strong Austrian team. The jumper from Schwarzach im Pongau, hometown of Stefan Kraft, for instance, also the home club of Chiara Kreuzer. So he's had a couple of good role models in his own club. Yeah, that's a very good jump for Stefan. Seemed to be a bit rough in the air, but 120 feet and 124 meters. Currently 4th position for him. Jarosław Krzak for Poland. Oh wow, that's a decent improvement compared to what we have seen in training and trial round from him. There he jumped 99.5 meters twice. Now he jumps 20 meters longer. But the field spread around that area is so tight that it's currently only 22nd position for him. As we note that Tuomas Kinnunen has made it into the final rounds. This is Ene Palitic for Slovenia, competing for the longest distance, even though he was quite close to the edge of the landing slope there, but 125 meters. A very good distance, bringing him to 9th position at the moment. So you can't see it at the moment, and apologies for that, but Adam Nischnik is on his way down, and there he comes. Yeah, something around 120 meters, but that actually might not even be enough in order to advance to the second round. 180 meters for Adam. Only ranked 23 at the moment. So that means we have Obersteiner in the second round. So at least one French competitor. Yannick Feist for Germany. Yeah, fairly remarkable. The height over the knoll. 120.5 meters. That's basically a trademark for jumpers from Bayersbronn, such as he is. 15th place at the moment. And that is the cue for the final rounds. Konstantin Schmid, competing a league higher than his brother, who is on the start at the FIS Cup in Szczyrk. And Konstantin aiming to join the duo of Germans that are qualified for the second round, but unfortunately that is not enough for him at the moment. 27th place only. Goraz Završnik for Slovenia. Puts on a good fight in the air. The 22-year-old who has won FIS Cup competition in Einsiedeln this summer. 123 meters for Gorazd. Currently in 9th position. As still, his teammate Jacques Mogal is in the lead. And the jury decided to move down the in-run length by 1 gate. So from now on, the jumpers will start with plus points, 6 in total, and the first one who will face shorter in-run length is Isaac Andreas Langmo. Had a terrific first training jump with 140.5 meters and then decided to skip the trial round to probably conserve the energy for this particular jump here. Oh, that is beautiful! What an awesome jump by Isak Andreas Langmo. 136.5 meters. And he's also getting decent style points, so that puts him up the lead by almost 20 points over Jacques Mogel. So now you know who is the guy you need to beat if you want to win this competition today. That was pure class from Langmo. I'm pretty sure his other competitors have noticed that, just as they did with his training jump. And so Raphael Zimmermann from Austria is the first one that will face this benchmark. But at least so far the competition is going fairly smoothly as the snowfall has eased off at least a tiny bit. Yeah, but that's also a very decent jump from Raphael Zimmermann. Scored the second place at the Summer Continental Cup in Stams. And proves that he's capable of matching most of the athletes here currently in third position. Adrian Thon Gundersrud for Norway. Had a bit of leg movement there, so wasn't quite able to resist the pressure, but still 126.5 meters, nothing to be ashamed of. Currently fourth position. Norway currently claiming 5 of the top 10 spots, so they have made fair use of their home advantage, as we are now going to see Philipp Aschenwald. That's unfortunate for him. Wasn't quite lucky with the conditions there. And it also looked like he was a bit holding back there in the air. 108.5 meters for Philipp. Unfortunately, that's not a spot in the second round after he made his fairy tale comeback last weekend in Eisenerz, where he won the second competition. Here comes his teammate Hannes Landerer. Ooh, and also he wasn't blessed there with the conditions. You could see that it almost seems like the slope is pulling the jumpers down at a certain point. Only 105 meters for Hannes. 40th place only at the moment. So currently the Austrian hopes rely on other jumpers. Fingers crossed that Niklas Bachlinger will have a good chance right now. A bit of a correction there, but he just made it close to 120 meters, but that might not even be enough to get into the second round for him as well. But it's 17th place. Okay. But look at that wind compensation, only minus 0.6. It's a tough phase currently for the jumpers. And it also looks like that for Markus Müller. You can also see it with how late the coaches are sending their jumpers down there. But that's a very good jump from Markus Müller. Was supposed to be nominated for the Austrian national group at the Foils tournament, but then got sick, so he couldn't compete. And with this jump, he puts himself into second position. Obviously, still more than 15 points behind Langmo, but that jump was really good considering the circumstances. That is the attempt by Jürgen Oliver Ström. Look at that! 141.5 meters. Oh, that was just impressive. And it's obviously a Norwegian double lead at the moment. Ström ahead of Langmo. What a show they are putting on. And we'll continue with Norway. Fredrik Willemstad up next. Oh, that was close. That was close at the landing there. He almost did a front flip there on the sticky snow. 123.5 meters for Fredrik. Also gets punished there with the style points, but 11th place at the moment. Still a position you can attack from. 4th place still seems to be in reach for him. Ben Bayer, the last remaining German athlete in this first round. Has his troubles in order to reach the K-point line. 121.5 meters for Ben. Now he takes over 11th position, just 0.4 points ahead of Willemstad. The penultimate athlete in this first round for Austria, Clemens Leitner. This short, good face was short indeed. 118.5 meters for Clemens. 17th position, so that means Raphael Zimmermann is going to be the second best placed Austrian in this first round, as Markus Müller currently still sits in 3rd place. In worst case, a 4th place, as we see the final jump in this first round from Robin Petersen. Puts out his flight abilities, but the landing wasn't specifically good. He was quite deep there with his position. 134 meters. The Finnish judge didn't quite notice that, but at least 2 of the Norwegians did, giving him 14.5 points. So he was quite lucky there, and therefore takes 3rd position, 0.8 points ahead of Markus Müller, completing a Norwegian treble lead with Jürgen Oliver Ström leading ahead of Isak Andreas Langmo and Petersen himself. Nine Norwegians have made it into the second round. So a very good impression from our hosts here. Personal success for Jakob Alvsaker Valset. Didn't make it into the final round, but the 34th position is his best Continental Cup result in his career. So he's gained surely good experiences today, as we see the results of the first round with 5 Norwegians inside the top 10. Ström leading with his jump on 141.5 meters ahead of Langmo with 136.5 and Petersen with 134. The 3 longest distances currently sitting in the podium positions. Right behind there, Markus Müller and Jacques Mogel for Austria and Slovenia. Then the second best Austrian with Zimmermann, Gündersrud and Jürgensen for Norway in 7th and 8th. And Martin Hamann, best German on rank number 9, ahead of Stefan Reinau, completes the top 10. And here we already see the athletes that haven't made it into the second round. Kamil Waszek from Poland being the first one. But with Jakob Wolny and Lukaszczyk, at least 2 Poles have made it into the second round, as a pair of them completes the intermediate results after this first round. So we have seen fairly interesting results in this first round. A bit of unpredictability as well, but an impressive performance from the Norwegians on top, as the final round will start in just under 20 minutes. And a couple of minutes before that, we will be back on the microphone for you.
Ja, det var jævlig synd, men det er jo denne plassen der han får hårmogen der ute og så representerer litt, da, så får han jo et poeng av 2 bak. Et halvt ett var jo i en meter. Han var bra for å få på faen med det.
Welcome back, everybody, just ahead of the start of the final round here at the 12th FIS Continental Cup competition in Lillehammer. We are slowly getting ready for final moments of this competition, and we are very curious to see who is going to take the victory today. Obviously with the best position after the first round. It's a treble of Norwegians. Jørgen Oliver Strøm leading ahead of Isak Andreas Langmo and Robin Pedersen. And here you can already see who qualified for this final round. Considering it's quite big ski jump with hill size 140, the field spread is actually kind of tight, at least until we scroll to the bottom of the third and final page of the start list for this second round. But it means that you can make up a fair chunk of positions if you nail your second jump. And hopefully the conditions will not interfere as they partially did in the first round. But that belongs to the nature of the sport. We are still outdoors, obviously, so you need to bear that in mind. But at least we can tell that the hill preparation has been managed fantastically. Being on track in a fairly good condition, considering it's a natural one, and also this landing slope hasn't made any problems up until now, so we're optimistic that it's going to be an interesting and tense second round here at the ski jumping arena, the venue of the 1994 Winter Olympic Games. And mentioning this big event, it's also the last weekend ahead of the Milano Cortina 2026 Games, where the ski jumping events will be held in Predazzo. At least in the men's field, we don't have any competitors that will be on the start there. But on the women's side, we actually do, so we will also keep an eye on them in tomorrow's competition, which will be the afternoon competition. The starting times tomorrow at 10:30 for the men and 13:30 for the women, both Central European time, obviously. So to know for you in order to plan your Sunday. One final trial jumper we are going to see, and then this second round will be underway. Just as the World Cup competition is in Villingen at the moment. Oh, you can see it on the flag in the background. The conditions are getting changeable at the moment. So it's not quite what we wished for this second round. It's hard to recognize which gate it is, but should be 9, just as we used it at the start of the first competition round, or 10 in worst case. So fingers crossed that the trial jumper can now make his jump, so that it's only a brief moment until we will get going again here. So after a good half minute, he is allowed to start. Probably hasn't ever jumped from such a low gate on this hill here. But probably didn't too many of our competitors before, as we start the final round with Oddvar Gunderud, the man from Ystad, originally from Asker actually, who grew up on a farm where he actually built his own snow hill and started ski jumping on that. Oh wow, that's a good start into the second round actually. That was not to be expected. A very decent in-run speed actually, 90.7 kilometers an hour from gate number 11 actually. And yeah, we're just starting with easily with 133 meters. Because why not? Wow. What an impressive performance from Oddvar Gunderø as we see Janne Holtz underway. Obviously, it's a mixture of feelings when you see that the in-run length is higher than before. Yes, it means you get more speed, but it also can let assure you that the conditions have gotten worse ever since. 110 meters for Holtz, currently 45 points behind Gunderø. Oh, this is quite a benchmark to beat for most of the athletes. So, like I mentioned, this will be a jump where he will make up lots of ground in this second round, as we saw the jump of Alessandro Badbi with and most likely this is the benchmark for his teammate Louis Obersteiner. It's very hard to predict who will be the first athlete who's capable of beating Gunderø's score. Obersteiner, unfortunately, is not going to be the one. Probably even shorter than Holtz before. $105 meters only for him, yeah, but he has received so much of a wind bonus that he still manages to stay ahead of the German at least. But the team and channel duo between Obersteiner and Badbi actually goes to the latter one, as we are anticipating the jump of Yannick Feist for Germany. Yeah, I was visibly a fair bit of headwinds in the first part over the knoll, which he also was able to use, but then it suddenly stopped in the middle of the slope, and that's where the plus points come from. Second place for Feist at the moment. He still has done a decent job considering the circumstances. As here comes Thomas Kinnunen for Finland. $110 meters for the jumper from Lahti, currently in 4th position. Also, we need to keep an eye on the condition of the landing slope. Obviously, there have been volunteers that try to prepare the slope in the break and also clean it a bit from the snow, but it's not evenly prepared in all parts. So especially if you get close to the fences on the left and right, it can be quite tricky. So the best thing you can do is jumping straight down to the bottom. Fingers crossed that this will work for Łukaszczyk from Poland. Yeah, he was very central on the slope actually, so that worked pretty well for him. 117.5 meters. Not able to claim one of the front positions, so that's rank number 4 for him. As we already see Niklas Bachlinger for Austria. He and his teammates around him with bips around 54 at quite tricky conditions. But it's also tough for him to make up the ground he has lost in the first round. 123.5 meters put him into third place, as Yannick Feist has already climbed 2 spots. But still in the lead, Oddvar Gunderø from Norway. Jenny Presečnik for Slovenia. Currently a bit too much tailwind. The direction of the wind has actually turned quite a bit. That makes it really tough for him. Very unfortunate for Jernej. Didn't have the chance to make more out of that. Only 102 meters for him. So he drops down the order actually to currently ninth position, unfortunately, which would make it 30th at the end of the competition. You can just feel for these guys if that happens. We will monitor that as we see the jump of Jakub Wolne. Yeah, had a bit more luck there. But still 116.5 meters. Quite a far distance still to claim the lead from Gunderø, who most likely will be finishing in the top 20 today, as we expect the jump of Yannick Wasser. Very interesting season for the Swissman. His best season result still stands from August 10th, a 15th place in the Summer Grand Prix in Courchevel. His best COC result, rank 22 in Engelberg. Just a day later he finished 25th. So at least set to score his best Continental Cup result of the season with his jump on 124 meters. Rank number 3. Ene Falitic for Slovenia. Jumper from Velenje. Place that not only has a beautiful castle but also terrific ski jumps right next to it. Yeah, and once again, just as in the first round, he jumped very close to the fence on the left-hand side from his POV. 121 meters for Ene. And so it's rank 6. And another Austrian coming up right now. We expected to see way later, Clemens Leitner. Won a Continental Cup competition in Engelberg this season, right after Christmas. So that's usually where he belongs. And with that jump, he will be able to climb. Probably not as much as Gunderø did, but he's the first one who gets close to him at least somehow. 127.5 meters. Second place for Leitner, 7.7 points behind the Norwegian. Gorazd Završnik for Slovenia. Finished 8th in Sapporo in this particular series, which was also his best COC results. Just 3 days later, 10th position for the man from Ljubno ob Savinji. But the clock is a little ticking against him, unfortunately. 3, 2, 1, and that's going to be the red light for the first time in course of the whole competition so far. So that gives us the chance to sort a couple of things. Oddvar Gunnar with his jump on 133 meters. Still in the lead, he has gained 12 positions already. He came from rank 30 after the first round. Leitner put himself into second position ahead of Yannick Feist, who has climbed 6 spots. On the other hand, we have Falitic losing 5 spots and Przecznik even 8. So the Norwegian got lucky with the conditions, but was also able to use them. On the other hand, Przecznik and Falitic, the two Slovenians, did suffer a bit. Hopefully this will not be the case for Gorazd Završnik. Hard to judge, but surely not ideal, as the snowfall intensity has increased. 115.5 meters for Gorazd. Yeah, and he's ranked right behind Falitic. Not quite a lucky day for Team Slovenia today. Let's see how Paavo Rompainen is doing. Oh, that was rough. That was really rough for him. Almost no heights gained after the takeoff. So one essential of a good ski jump missing. 102.5 meters only for Paavo. And that drops him down to 13th. So the best result for Finland will definitely be scored by Tuomas Kinnunen, who is 2 places ahead of him. Rikard Selbekk Hansen. That was also tough for him. 104 meters. And also, just like Rompainen, he's losing 12 positions. It's not a lot of wind, as you can also see in the graphic in the center of your screen, but exactly this amount, and especially the feeling the jumpers have in the air, does hurt quite a lot, as we see the jump from Eric Belshaw. And as most of the fields reach the K-point line in the first round, it's a huge achievement if you do so in the second. 120.5 meters for Belshaw, putting him into 3rd place. So far, only Niklas Bachlinger, Clemens Leitner and Oddvar Gunnar have beaten the first red line on the hill. Here comes Fredrik Willemstad. Yeah, he's close to it, but not above the K-point line. 120.5 meters. Give him the leads. Thanks to the wind compensation, 14.9 points awarded for Fredrik. So he's the first one that has managed to beat Gunnar by only 0.6 points. And already in the air is Ben Bayer for Germany with a great jump. That might be the Gunnar of the second half of this final round. 137 meters for Ben. A clear lead of almost 16 points ahead of Willemstad. So more than 8 meters. And good luck to the rest of the boys coming up right now in order to beat that. At least until we reach the podium spots. Because these guys had a fair advantage over the rest of the field. Bendik Jakobsen Hegli with his jump on 121.5 meters, making him currently the third best Norwegian. Willem Stad stays in second and Gunnerud in third. Stefan Reiner for Austria, as well as the Slovenians, not really been blessed with good conditions in average. Just like in the first round, he also is being sent down very late. Oh, but if I look at the distance to beat, it's going to be tough for Reiner. Yeah, he had a bit of hate, but that stopped as soon as he was flying over 110, 115 meters. Yeah, he didn't even manage to jump 150 meters, only 112 for him. And that drops him down to 8th place at the moment. Martin Hamann up next. The final German we're going to see in this competition. But that's a good distance he achieves. So well done to him. ...130 meters bring him into second position, so it's a German double lead. Ben Bayer ahead of Martin Hamann. But obviously the home heroes of Norway will be aiming for that particular lead. The first one of them, Sindre Ylven Jørgensen. Oh, where does he go? What a phenomenal jump from Sindre Ylven Jørgensen. He had such a good in-run speed, decent conditions, and shows us a distance of 141.5 meters, equaling the best distance we have seen on this day. And obviously taking the leads from Bayer. It looks very much like you have to jump over the hillsides, or at least close to it, if you want to achieve something big today. If Adrian Thon Gundersrud had a look on the wind monitor, he would surely press the green light for himself, but that's not possible at the moment. The tailwind has become too strong. So he's the second athlete that is forced to leave the bar. But Sindre Ylven Jørgensen has a good chance to score his third Continental Cup podium of his career. A second place in Garmisch-Partenkirchen on January 6th in 2024, his best result. And the other podium result, which was actually his first one, was in Engelberg, just a couple of days before that. So, looks like a 4-jumper will be sent down first, which is not a bad idea considering the snowfall we still got. So he will be sort of an in-run track cleaner for now. And then we would like to continue the competition with Adrian Thon Gundesrud, the 23-year-old from Jardar, who finished second last weekend in Eisenerz, scoring his second COC podium. 1 year and 1 week after his first one, he achieved in Bischofshofen. So the wind has calmed down a bit. This is good news. Yeah, and also the inrun speed does look good still with 90 kilometers an hour, so we should be good to go to continue with the competition. 7 jumpers remaining. And just as Gundesrud has made it to the bar, the light jumped to red. I don't know what happened there. But it's looking to be a gate change by the jury. So probably not gate 11 anymore, but gate 10. The jury today being Franck Salvi, the technical delegate from France, his assistant Janne Karjalainen from Finland, and the chief of competition is Robert Selbæk Hansen. So these 3 gentlemen have decided to move down the gate, actually to gate number 8. So even lower than what we've seen in the first round, giving the athletes 18 plus points for this disadvantage they will have. We'll see how much of a speed loss this is going to be, but certainly it doesn't make the challenge easier for them. It also means that probably you need to jump something like 130 meters in order to take the lead away from Jürgensen. But before that, we were going to see another 4-jumper. So we keep a close eye on the smallest box in the graphics to see what the inrun speed is like. We have been at around 90 kilometers an hour, and now it's dropped down to 87.8. Obviously also depending on your body weight and how the skis are prepared with the wax. So let's see how it pans out for Adrian Thon Gundesrud. The distance to beat, jumping heavily at the moment. Everything between 123, 22 meters up to 131.5 we saw. It's a tricky phase at the moment, a very, very tricky phase. It's been also kind of a long waiting game for Adrian. And for a third time, he has to go back to the starting area. It's a bit of a déjà vu to yesterday's mixed team competition in Villingen, actually. There have been a couple of athletes been very unlucky with waiting, going inside out on the gate, and then needing to be jumping, but Gunther Thrutt now has the green light. And he does a very decent job in these tricky circumstances. 125 meters for him. And thanks to the gate points, this brings him into second position behind his teammate Sindre Ulven Jørgensen. And up next is Austrian Raphael Zimmermann. This is a bitter pill to swallow. Actually, the inrun speed is still decent, but the conditions weren't as much for him. Only 110 meters, dropping him to 10th position. Up next, Jacques Mogel. Yeah, he was visibly searching for something to put his flight system on, but he didn't find anything. 118 meters. That is 5th place at the moment for him. In P4, after the first round, Markus Müller. Only 1 point, 2 points behind Robin Pedersen, we already can see on the left-hand side. So the Austrian still has the podium in his view, if everything plays along for him. At the moment, the conditions don't quite do so. So that means he's our third athlete that has to move off the bar. From here it doesn't look too bad looking at the snowfall, but our main angle shows different signs. But the snowfall itself, luckily, isn't our biggest problem today. As the tailwind is currently increasing minute by minute. So maybe the jury will consider moving the gates back up, because currently it's not possible to jump. At least the forecast isn't predicting that it's going to be worse than what we have right now, so it's still somehow manageable. But before we can continue with the competition, another four jumper is required. Oh, and that's a ski model I haven't seen in quite a while, actually. Trying to figure out which season that model was actually, but surely not the most recent one of the manufacturer we can see. Luckily, though, he doesn't have to wait too long in order to use these skis. But seemingly, we are remaining in gate 8 for now. So, Markus Müller. Will he now get the chance to jump? Looking at the 2-beat distance, which is currently being mentioned, we cannot be too optimistic after all. And it's not really improving at the moment. It's pretty much the same as we saw in his last starting attempt, and also this one will only last 5 seconds from now on. No chance for now. At least Müller is allowed to get out of his bindings for now and probably restart his preparations. Another 4 jumper is being needed. Not necessarily because of the duration of the break, but because of the snowfall, obviously. So that's a very important factor. So last time around we saw a 4 jumper. It's happened quite quickly for him that he was able to jump. But also for these guys, the wind corridor is the same. Yeah, but from this angle it looks very much like the wind. And also snowfall intensity has increased, so These are tense moments in the closing stages of this competition, where Sindre Ulven Jørgensen is still leading ahead of Adrian Thon Gundesrud and Ben Bayer. And we are keeping our fingers crossed that Markus Müller will now be allowed to perform his jump in hopefully stable and fair conditions. The jumper from Klagenfurt, who finished second twice at the COC in Engelberg and collected 3 Continental Cup victories in his career. But for a third time, it's not going to happen for him. At least he's still able to deal with that with his sense of humor. But honestly, this wasn't to be expected. This plot twist inside this competition. Everything was going fairly smoothly. And suddenly the wind has decided to have his own word about this competition. Well, at least the distance to beat is going closer to what we actually need to continue with the competition. So a vast improvement with regards to that, but is it going to be enough to send him down actually? We saw only 3 jumps from this gate. Raphael Zimmermann, the first one with 110 meters, then Jacques Mogel with 118 meters, and Adrian Thon Gundesrud with 125 meters. As it's a 4th time for Müller having to leave the bar. And now he's also leaving his bindings. And the jury is opting to adjust the gates once again. This time going from 8 up to 10. So we're 2 gates up, but just 1 gate down compared to where we started the competition. So that means the amount of plus points as a compensation is significantly reduced to the 3 athletes that have been jumping from gate number 8. 6 points in comparison to 18 points as Zimmermann, Gundesrud and Mogel have received. So after quite a while, we get to see a jump. (90.3 kilometers an hour). So the in-run track didn't suffer too much from this break, so that's good news. So let's see how quickly we can progress with the competition. The distance to beat has looked fairly decent for a second, but from then on it just got worse. But now it's showtime for Markus Müller in his 5th attempt. And that's a fairly decent jump. Congrats to him. That was a very difficult situation. And he's managed to pull out 124 meters. Good enough for 2nd place at the moment. So we already know it's going to be a victory for a Norwegian today, because we only have 3 Norwegians coming up. And Sindre Ylven Jørgensen still in the lead, 6.1 points ahead of Markus Müller. Here comes Robin Pedersen. Roughly 125 meters, that's what he needs to take the lead from his teammate, but I'm afraid this is not enough. So it's looking to be a podium for Sindre Ylven Jørgensen, with his teammate Pedersen jumping 122.5 meters, putting him into 3rd place behind Müller. And here comes Isak Andreas Langmo, the 2nd last jumper of the competition. In very difficult conditions, but that's going to be enough for the leads. Isak Andreas Langmo has jumped way over the distance to beat with these 130 meters, putting 22.8 points between him and Sindre Ylven Jørgensen. So now it's all to play for Jørgen Oliver Strøm. His sister Anna Odine today finished 9th in the World Cup competition in Villingen. I'm not sure if Jørgen Oliver would accept a 5th place in this very competition. It would be his 2nd best Continental Cup result. But if you're the halftime leader, you obviously go for the win in your 2nd jump. Take off very much on the edge, but that's enough! Oh, a stellar performance from Jørgen Oliver Strøm. With 135.5 meters, he's absolutely crushing it. A clear victory for Strøm over Isak Andreas Langmo, 20.7 points ahead of Sindre Ylven Jørgensen. It's a treble victory for the home heroes here in Norway. At the first competition of the weekend in Lillehammer. And let's not forget that Robin Pedersen and Adrian Thon Gundesrud finish on 5th and 6th place, with Fredrik Willemstad, Oddvar Gunnerud and Bendik Jakobsen Hegeli on 10th, 11th and 12th. So the top 2 managed to defend their positions after the first round. Strøm winning ahead of Langmo and Jørgensen. Markus Müller, a strong 4th place for the Austrian. who won the mental competition today, sort of. Petersen and Gundersrud. Strong outings in 5th and 6th, with 2 Germans also inside the top 10. Ben Bayer 7th, Martin Hamann 8th. Jacques Mogel being the best Slovenian on rank number 9. Then ahead of Willemstad. And probably the man of the day, also a secret man of the day, Oddvar Gunderud, improving by 19 positions in the second round with his opening jump on 133 meters. That was the first real hop shock, as they say in Norway, in this competition. 11th place, by far his best Continental Cup result. The best US American being Eric Belshaw, finishing 14th. Ahead of the best Swissman, Yannick Wasser, on 18th. Jakob Wolny, the best Polishman, on 19th. And the best Frenchman, Alessandro Batui, 23rd. The best Finnish jumper, Tuomas Kinnunen, on rank 25. So yeah, that was a pretty intense first competition here in Lillehammer. With a very interesting phase towards the end of the competition. Some athletes got quite lucky in the second round, others didn't quite so. Hopefully this will be an even playfield tomorrow from 10:30. This is when the second competition of the weekend is going to start. Obviously also broadcasted here on FIS TV. And the weekend here in Lillehammer will be concluded at 13:30 with the second Intercontinental Cup competition for the women. Yeah, but with these streaming tips given out to you, we are slowly coming to the end of the coverage. Thank you ever so much for tuning in on this interesting first day in Lillehammer. We are hoping for a second one tomorrow on Sunday. Here once again you can see the starting times. The men jumping on the large hill at 10:30 and the women jumping on the normal hill at 13:30. But that's it from my side. Have a nice Saturday and a nice rest of the weekend. My name is Luis Holoch. I'm signing out. Bye bye.